1470 AM and W298BX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina. WNOS 1450 AM and W272EK 102.3 FM, licensed to New Bern, North Carolina.
Motivations with Glenn.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Awesome Radio. WECU 1570 AM, 107.5 FM, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. I want to say blessings to all of our listeners. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We're going to do a continuation of the hippie era. And it is with my co-host, Apostle Jacqueline Williams.
Hey, Dr. Glenn, and to our listening audience on today, we are so glad to continue, so glad that you tuned in first, and we're glad to continue this series. We have today some exciting things that we're going to talk about. We shifted this subject a little bit, but we have a few things that are left over from the 70s that we need to talk about, things that were in the hippie era, and then we are going to shift over and talk about things that are no longer around that were in the 70s. I, Dr. Glenn, was a child of the 70s. I was in the 70s. I was never in any of the movements because I was a kid, but I did see them, and I did see my parents go through some of those phases of the 70s. I remember the 70s music.
Yeah.
Being a child of I remember roller skating was big in the 70s.
Drive-in movies, all that stuff.
Drive-in movies. Those are, I mean, we didn't even mention that. We don't see those anymore. I have seen a few, though. There are still a few that are around or that have made a comeback with drive-in movies. I've seen at least one. And I know, when I was a kid in Detroit, they used to have one. And it wasn't definitely in Detroit in the area that I lived in, but we would go past other cities, and they would have the drive-in movies there.
What about Photomat?
Photomat. And that used to be a little place where you could go, I think, and drop off your film.
Drop off your film and have
and
it
get it
developed.
back.
Yeah.
Well, and the Polaroid camera, I think those are still around, though.
Really, the
that you
Polaroid?
can buy the instant Polaroid camera.
Yeah, I think the
You
instant.
can buy those somewhere, but we don't see it like we used to see it in the 70s. That was very popular in the 70s. That's the way you got, a lot of people took their pictures. They got those old Polaroids, and listen, those things would come apart, and you're looking for it now if you didn't have it pressed in a book. And sometimes even when you pressed it in a book, the tapes and different things or adhesive in those books would mess up those pictures.
Yeah.
So a lot of pictures are not around because they were Polaroid pictures.
Yeah. And even to take the picture, some of the cameras had that big giant bulb to take the flash.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes, those were other type of pen. Yeah, had a big thing, and you had to look at it, and it made a big flash. We don't see those things anymore. Technology has grown so much And we are glad. Some things it has made things better, but then there's an era of time where things are just missing and we don't see them anymore.
I got a good one. When you were in school, do you remember for your textbooks, you used a shopping bag paper for the book cover, writing in cursive? Everybody had to write in cursive, which was just printing or writing.
You mean the brown paper bag
Brown
and
paper
fold it?
bag.
Yeah, some people that didn't have book covers, I think they did know how to fold those into brown paper bags and make it a book cover. I don't think we always had book covers though, where I came from. I don't remember ever having book covers.
We did at the Jersey Shore. We always had to cut the brown paper bag, make the book cover.
I remember waiting at the bus stop, living in the city. I remember penny candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to penny candy? Penny candy is gone. Every city had penny candy.
And you always had to rely on a map, protractor stuff to get where you're going to go if you didn't know. There was no such thing as GPS.
That's right. You had a hard map and you had to flip it over and you had to literally read it. So sometimes
right.
you had to get off the road or you had somebody to read it and read the directions while you were driving.
While you're driving, yeah.
Yeah, you had a hard map. I remember those, I think they called them almanacs or something.
Yeah.
And I remember, even those, in some of the last era,
I got a good one for you. You probably don't even know. Well, you might know. There was a button on the floorboard of your car near your left foot. You would press that button for what? With your foot.
You would brighten or
That's
brighten
right.
the lights. I know what that is.
There
I
we are.
remember my mother used to
Yeah.
have. She used to have them big old Cadillacs. My mother always had a Cadillac.
She had a
And so
Cadillac Brougham.
She always had a big old Cadillac.
Cadillac Brougham. A lot of people like to say Brougham.
Broham. She had a green one.
But
She
it's
had a
Brougham.
yellow one. She had a burgundy one. She had some Cadillacs. Okay.
Yeah, that was for your I-beam.
Those Cadillac Coupe de Villes. She had nice cars. My mother, she loved to drive around in a Cadillac.
If your car ran out of gas, you had to stop, get a gas can, put gas in the gas can, put gas in your car. But not only in the fuel tank, but also the carburetor. But now you don't have to do that because all cars are fuel injected.
It is. Things are just different now. There's so many things. And remember, the full-service gas stations, there are some places now that still have full-service gas stations, but it was a norm in the 70s to drive up to the gas station and they put your gas in for you.
Which is, you can't put gas in your own vehicle in New Jersey. It's against the law. Every service station in every service station in New Jersey has a service station attendant. You are not allowed and prohibited, which is illegal in New Jersey, to pump your own gas.
Oh, wow. Well, we need that down here because I could really use somebody pumping my. As hot as it be out there, I don't want to get out. But, one thing I will say, it's a good time for me to clean out my car while I'm pumping out the gas. And I just throw out, I don't know if anybody else does that, but I always see the trash cans full over there. So I know a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
They dump out their trash while they're at the
I do sometimes.
at the gas station.
I do sometimes. Sometimes I wait till I get home and get a little portable trash can, take it out to my car, put it along with a vacuum, and do it outside of my driveway.
Well, that's taking it back home. That's where, the can is right there at the pump.
Yeah, I know.
So you may as well just gather it up and leave it there.
But like you said, it'd be so full and windy because one of them service stations I go to is like a wind tunnel. As soon as you have something on a piece of paper in your hand, the wind is just take it away.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It is windy over there, and they are always full. I do see. I have to, but I'll scour and look and see which one is empty and go 3 pumps over to put my trash in there.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it back home because I'm going to forget to do it. Well, that's when you get a few minutes, to get over there and do it. But I remember being a kid, a child of the 70s, and going to the full-service gas stations. They used to not only pump your gas, but they would wash your windshield.
Yeah. And put oil in your car if you need oil.
I don't remember the oil, but I remember the windshield.
Yeah,
And I think maybe they did pop the hood. I don't know.
Yeah, they pop the hood and put oil if you need oil. And not only did they do the windshield, they would have this squeegee and do your headlights.
Oh, wow. I do remember the windshield and sitting in the back seat and, them driving up to those and certain ones, certain ones that are still, certain gas stations are still around from that era. They just don't do it anymore, but they're still around.
Well, like I said, in New Jersey, it's totally different. The reason why they did the headlights, because it's state law in New Jersey that they have headlights and rear tail lights have to be clear of debris.
Oh wow, that is something. Well, and I maybe I need some of the Jersey to come here, because like I said, I would really pay a little extra to have someone come and put the gas in for me, so I didn't have to get out. I really would. I'd love.
I'm glad you mentioned that part because some places in New Jersey, the gas prices are a little higher because of the service. But in some places in New Jersey, the price is real cheap. A lot of people come from Pennsylvania over the bridge, so to speak, to go to New Jersey to get their gas.
Okay. Well, like I said, I miss it. I miss that service, seeing them come and do that. I like I said, I really pray to see that. Hey, today we want you to call in if you get a moment and you want to talk about some of the things that are missing from the 70s. You want to weigh in on this conversation. I know many of you were around during the 70s. You were probably hippies and beatniks and some of the other Black Panthers and some of the other things that were around in that area. We want you to call in and be live with us right here with Dr. Glenn and myself on the show today.
I'll have one more thing to say before we come back from the break. So I'll wait till the break to mention it. This was an item that hasn't been around in years, but I just thought about this last night. I'll share it with you when we come back from the break.
Okay, hey, we will be right back after this break. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins-Williams, listening to us right here on Awesome Radio. We will be back in a moment.
Do you have documents that need to be notarized? We provide notary services by appointment. 252-756-3137. Clemmy Family Care Home, registered by the state of North Carolina, is an adult age 55 and older independent living care home with facilities in Ayden, Winterville, and Greenville. Clemmy Family Care Home, 252-916-4466. Daily prepared meals available, fun activities, field trips, and more. We have private rooms and double rooms, professional medical staff, and 24-hour security at all facilities. Clemmy Family Care Home, 252-916-4466. Private pay, Medicaid, and Medicare accepted. Veterans are welcomed also. Visiting hours from 6 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. daily. To schedule a tour of our facilities and to learn more of what Clemmy Family Care Home has to offer, contact Tammy, 252-916-4466. That's 252-916-4466. Clemmy Family Care Home, an adult independent living care home with facilities in Ayden, Winterville, and Greenville.
Awesome Radio.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Keller Picton's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Can you feel it? Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins-Williams. Here on Awesome Radio, awesomeradionetwork.org, WECU, 1570 AM, 107.5 FM, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. I want to mention to Apostle the item that I thought about last night that I haven't seen in a long time. And Father God, forgive me, but me and my cousins, who were very close to my grandmother had a Victrola, you know, the old style record player. We had one that was stood up about maybe 6 feet, six and a half feet, with a big horn on it. This thing was huge. And the records were lead plated. You would put them on the thing to spin around, and what was the needle was this big, giant, thick thing. That was a Victrola. Man, we should have never got rid of that thing. What I looked up last night was, I saw one, it said going price, $35,000.
Oh yeah, some of the vintage things are very much so.
Yeah, that's it,
Have
vintage.
a high value right now.
Yeah, vintage. And when I lived in Philadelphia, I was explaining to one of my neighbors, who was a young boy. He said, Mr. Glenn, what's a turntable? I said, it's a record player. Well, what's a record player? I said, you don't know what a turntable or a record player is? but he didn't.
Yeah, the kids now, some of the language that we use, they have no clue what it is. They have to be explained. And even reading some of the books that were printed back during those times, they're looking at you like, what does that mean? Because the language doesn't fit for where they are now, And like I said, I think on our last broadcast, I'm glad to be a part of both eras, to be old enough to have seen, the 70s, but also still, not so old until I can enjoy the new technology and the advancements that are coming today. Because, there's a lot of older people, they reject newer things. They'll stick with the older things. Remember the ringer type washer?
Yeah.
Washing machine?
That's right. That's what I forgot.
Yeah, the ringer type washer is not around anymore.
Yeah, I forgot
And
about that one.
I remember getting my finger caught in there more than
Yeah.
one time, trying to push those clothes through there.
Yeah.
And then you had to put them in a foot tub to rinse them out.
Yeah.
And then hang them out on the clothesline. Now clotheslines are still around. That's sometimes people, they still today decide to use the clothesline. But I remember that ringer type washer. I don't know if it was the washing powder or what, or the hard water from where my family lived out. They had groundwater. The water came from the ground. There's a lot of folks or a lot of people that had groundwater. They had it straight from the ground, not where it's all filtered like we have
That's
today,
right.
or what they call the city water.
That's right.
But they had that groundwater, had a smell to it too. So,
Well-
but when you put those clothes on the clothesline, they would be stiff as a board sometimes.
I remember back in the 70s, my mom would go pick up my dad. Then we would all get in the car and ride together to a place in the vicinity of Asbury Park. We'll go with jugs and bottles to get spring water. This spring water was so good. I don't even know if that place still exists or not, but as a child, that's where we went all through the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
Wow.
Spring water right out of the well.
Uh-huh. Well, this was well water. That's what they called it, but it wasn't any fancy spring water. Had a smell to it and a taste. Looked kind of yellow to me growing up as a kid. Because coming from the city and going down south and drinking that well water, we would be thirsty because that water had such a nasty smell and taste.
And speaking of spring water, I hate to mention his name, so forgive me. And I hate to mention a company name without authorization. But I know this for a fact because when I drove for the tractor trailer company, this was one of my duties to go to Maine to pick up the Poland spring water. Because people always thought it came from Poland. Since it said Poland spring water, it was from Maine.
And that was just the name, Polish spring water. I know. I mean, and I lived other places that had very tasty and good water, and yet and still we went to the store and bought water. People nowadays, they're buying water because they don't like how the water tastes. And I mean, even in this place, there are things and people that are buying water because they don't like how it tastes. So, hey,
Well,
we're going to get to some of our...
Before you get to that, since you guys mentioned about people in the water, I just started drinking a lot more water since I live in Winterville. Because I still remember Winterville gets water from two sources. Greenville Utility plus Winterville has its own source of water, which contains a mineral that's good for your kidneys and things like that.
Yeah.
So I started drinking a lot of water since it's Winterville
And
water.
I remember you telling me that, but I've been looking for that water for ever since. I haven't seen anybody that gets that water. Everybody has Greenville water that I know.
But if you live in Winterville, it's coming from Greenville Utility and Winterville,
Okay.
the tap water.
Okay. So we're going to talk and move on with a few of our documents we want to cover that we forgot one last week or we didn't have the time to do. And one of them, I just want to talk about this very quickly, and then we'll talk about some things. And Dr. Glenn has brought Jimi Hendrix, and they were a part of the hippie culture and during those times.
Jimi Hendrix is Sly Stone.
It's Sly Stone, and I'm just looking at them like, I do remember Jimi Hendrix, though. I remember a little bit about him. with the guitar, right?
Yeah.
Black man with the afro and the
Exactly,
guitar.
exactly.
Okay, so I remember a little bit about him. I've seen him, some old clips from him, but I can't say that back during the 70s I enjoyed that music.
Well, then I'm gonna
don't
have,
know that.
Since you remember him, I'm going to have a trivia question for you.
Don't do me.
I'm going to do you.
Don't do me because I don't know if I know that much about it.
I know you probably don't know this one.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Glenn, but don't do, and look,
right,
I'm going to
so-
leave this open.
all right,
and
so-
let me put the phone number out there, 252-756-2008, and I'm going to leave it open if you want to help me out. Oh, I really miss Pepper, man. We haven't heard from him in a long time. I need his backup on this one because I don't know that much about
Well,
it.
since you knew Jimi Hendrix played the guitar, of course he played the guitar. But how did he play the guitar?
I'm thinking that that I've seen some videos where he played it with his mouth. Was that it?
That's one of them. There's something else concerning his hands.
I have no clue.
Okay, Jimi Hendrix, who was left-handed, played a right-handed guitar upside down to reverse the strings.
Oh, okay. I don't
If
know
you
that
see
detail.
people that have guitar, they say belong to Jimi Hendrix. There's a short sign test that say it came from Jimi Hendrix. When you look at the neck of the guitar, it has some scrapes. Those scrapes indicate that it was from his ring finger, because his ring finger would make those marks on the neck because he played it up the right-handed guitar upside down.
So anybody that has his memorabilia, they're probably pretty rich because people want
that
and they
correct.
seek after that.
I can't even mention the amount of what his guitars would cost.
Oh yeah, I can imagine because some of the things that have went, if you have things, you know, your parents have things that are up in an old attic and those type of things, you may be able to pull them down and Google them and look and see what it is and actually see how much it could be worth because things, the value have gone up on many things right now.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna tell you one other thing about the old mint in Charlotte. There was a mint in Charlotte, North Carolina, like some of the other mints, like Philadelphia Mint and some other mints across the nation. But Charlotte was one of the ones that struck the coins. Coins were struck in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you see any old coin with a C on it, that means it was struck in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it is very, very valuable.
Wow, that is good to know, Dr. Glenn, because I had no clue with that. Hey, before we're down to our last minute here for this little segment, and we want to give you the opportunity again to come and call in if you would like. When we come back, we're going to briefly go over when TV went off the air at night, because we forgot to talk about that. We mentioned it, but we didn't talk about it well, and then we're going to talk about some things that disappeared from the 70s. And we've already been naming them off the top of our head, but there's some that we want to look at that are on our paper here that we want to go over a little bit more depth. Hey, this is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins-Williams, and you're listening to us right here on Awesome Radio. We're going to give you the opportunity again. If you want to call in, you can call in and add something to our conversation. The phone number here is 252-756-2008. Again, 252-756-2008. You can call and you will be live right on the air with me and Dr. Glenn. Hey, don't move. Keep it right there. Stay locked in. We'll be back in a moment.
Awesome radio. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Can you hear it? Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was very brief. Welcome back to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio. 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina. Apostle says she want to focus now on when TV used to go off.
Yes.
And,
when TV used to go off the air at night.
I left my document alone for that, but I do realize or remember one thing they were talking about. So when TV went off, the national anthem would play. But they were thinking about replacing that with a prayer. And I believe there was an old black woman from Virginia. They wanted to replace it with her prayer. I got to go to look at the document for that.
Oh, yes, definitely. And it said, too, that it didn't start where TV became on all night until 2000, that it went off. And I remember, now, I lived in the city, and everybody, the broadcasting lineup was different. But I remember a show called Benny Hill They used to come on, and I think the news came on, and then Benny Hill came on after, and then the TV went off.
Yeah.
After, I think it was like 10 o'clock
Yeah.
when TV used to go off. It wasn't like 1 in the morning. It was like early, 10, 11, maybe 12 at the most, but it wasn't like that it went off, like at 2 or 3 in the morning. But some of the stations, it says that they went off at 2 or 3 in the morning.
And then also before that, parents had to be reminded to check on their children. There will be a tone, and someone will come on and say something like, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?"
That's right. They used to say that. I remember that. Do you know where your children are? And that was a good tip. People cared. Today they don't care about where the children are. So they mention everything except that. We don't see those particular things that are there. I remember Schoolhouse Rock used to come on, and they had those learning commercials and those little learning songs. So we learned how to do our timetables. We learned how to count by 3, learned how to count by 5.
Conjunction, junction,
Conjunction,
what's your
junction.
function?
We learned about the conjunctions. And we had all the good stuff there that taught us those things that we could remember by song and by beat
And
versus,
that's why I remember some of them, like I'm just a bill.
That's right.
I'm sitting here on Capitol
That's
Hill.
right. That's right. I remember all those songs. I mean, and this year, one of the teachers was teaching the preamble, and I was singing the song. I knew the words to the preamble because it was on. She played Schoolhouse Rock, and I'm singing every word because I remember it from a kid.
And believe it or not, that's why I still remember that in the House of Representatives and the Senate, it's only a bill. It's only law when they vote on it. So
That's right.
It remains a bill until it becomes a law.
We learned how things worked because we were able to see it repetitively every Saturday coming on TV and coming in, mixed in with our favorite cartoons.
That's right.
I remember seeing all those things. So we talk about TV going off the air at that time, but let's look here at a few things that are no longer here during the 70s.
And I just thought about something that you said. So, like the Jetsons, for instance. Remember the Jetsons had the little handheld device? Well, art imitating life, or life imitating art. Now we have the cell phone, which was thought of when they made the Jetsons, the little handheld device. That's where that came from.
Oh, remember they had beepers at one time. It wasn't just, it was no other way to page you except through a beeper.
There was a lot of things from the Jetsons and Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the stuff that they made, they thought that it wouldn't be possible to put something into a device and then it be cooked within a couple of minutes and turn around and the whole thing is done. I mean, the microwave oven is here now.
Yeah, and I don't think this one's going to get too far. It's out there now. The technology is out there. These vehicles are out there, but I don't think they're going to last. That's the self-driving cars.
Oh, yeah. I really would love one of those. Well, they have had quite a few of them out, and there's been a lot of accidents with them as well.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yes. There's been a lot of accidents with them because they can't think like people. I don't care what you do. There's some things that just need human, to operate it.
Yeah.
Because we can make decisions that a machine never will be able to.
They had a test of one here in Greenville, and they had to send a human being to recover the vehicle because it got to a construction site or zone and just went haywire. The thing didn't know what to do. It didn't know how to respond of being in the construction area.
And I saw where they were going to use big trucks, those big 18-wheelers, and they're going to have them self-driving. I don't want that on the wheel.
But they have
on
those.
the road.
They have those too. But that's the worst thing they ever do.
Uber, that in some cities they have those self-driving vehicles as taxis, and a lot of or the Uber or Lyft or whatever. They're some type of taxi that take people from place to place.
I just think some things ought to be left alone.
Well, and I'd rather get in the horse and buggy.
Don't be surprised they bring that back.
Yes. So some of the things that disappeared from the 70s, the 8-track tapes. I remember those, the chunky multi-track magnetic tape cartridges that dominated car stereos before getting replaced by cassette tapes. Even cassette tapes are not around anymore.
Yeah, and they're phasing out CDs. You cannot buy a brand new vehicle with a CD player in it anymore.
Yeah, but that used to be the thing. That replaced the cassette player was the CD player. But remember how that thing would get stuck in there sometime and you had to wind it back up to get that 8-track back
That's
in
right,
there or
that's
to
right.
get that cassette tape? I remember winding up many, putting them back in there because I needed to keep that music. I didn't want it to be over.
But now your vehicles have a lot of USB ports for thumb drive or flash drives. You put your stuff on the flash drive or thumb drive, then insert it in your USB port. That's why I got 4 USB ports in my car, which is 6,000 songs on all 4 of them.
Now, in the 8-track era, I'm going to say I had uncles around, and they loved the blues. So they would listen to B.B. King and all those old artists and stuff. I knew the blues as a kid. I grew up with a variety of music, not just R&B and the things that were from the 70s or, soul music from there. We had the blues. My uncles they had that blues going. We had a barbecue or cookout or something. Them 8-track tapes was on with the blues.
Hey, the blues is all right.
Oh yeah, they would have that going. And they, some of them, they were motorcycle riders and stuff. Motorcycle gangs and stuff were very, very popular back there. So they had motorcycle clubs and they had the black jackets. And back then, they were CB. I don't know what you call them, but they were CB people. They loved to be on the CB.
They were CB enthusiasts.
Yeah, talking. They had the CB set up in the house with all kinds of antennas and stuff, and they could talk to people all over on the C. They knew how to do it 10-4.
Yeah,
Good buddy, I remember hearing those things.
They had a base station.
A base station with many things. You couldn't go in there and touch nothing. You
I had
couldn't
it.
touch nothing.
Because I had it too.
Did you? You had a CB?
I had a CB and base station, everything.
Okay, yeah. I remember we don't see people with CB. We don't see the CBs anymore.
I still have one at home.
Well, they used to use them out on the road too when you traveled. It would tell you if the police was coming. The CBers would tell you if there was an accident. The truck drivers, you were in the whole,
That's right,
involved in the whole world.
They kept it on Channel 19, and all CB enthusiasts, anybody that had a CB in their vehicle or whatever, they knew to stay off of Channel 9. Channel 9 was for police and fire emergency. You could broadcast on there only for that.
Well, now the Google does help you a little bit with speed traps, but not like those CBs. The CBers, you would be miles ahead. They would be miles ahead and tell you that a Smokey was over on the side or whatever they would call them.
Yeah, or sometimes the other vehicles will be flashing their lights to let them know.
Let them know.
There's a police
There's a police
vehicle
officer.
ahead.
But those CBs, I remember that. I remember the CBs.
But sometimes that can get you in a lot of trouble. If they find out it was you on a CB or flashing your lights, they'll pull you over and give you a citation.
I'll flash them. I'll be telling them, slow down, the police is back there. I don't want anybody getting a ticket like I've had. Hey, we're going out on another break, and I know we just brought up some things that you have forgotten about the 70s, and they're coming back up. Hey, we want you to call and participate. We have a little bit more time left, but we have a lot of things that we want to cover. We'll be right back after this break. Dr. Glenn, you want to take us out?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we'll be down to our final 20 minutes. So, as Apostle has said, if you want to make a comment or have a question, please don't hesitate to call in. You'll be live on the air. 252-756-2008. Call. We are standing by waiting for you to call. All happening now. Apostle.
Yeah, so come on and call in. We know you remember some things that we've forgotten, and we'd love to hear from you. You were back then. You have some things. You have some memories. Hey, this is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins-Williams on Awesome Radio. Back in a moment.
Copying God's design. This is Ken Ham, an Aussie transplant with a passion for sharing the truth of God's Word. As we learned earlier this week, there's a growing number of people who think artificially intelligent machines are the next step in human evolution. Some think they might even replace us or rule over us. But AI isn't evolving, and it's not the next step in our supposed evolution. Artificial intelligence is an example of biomimicry. This is when humans copy God's superior designs in their technology. Now, by studying and trying to copy the way our brains learn and programming machines to learn the same way, we're simply copying God's amazing design. Life did not evolve, and it's not evolving now.
Discover more about science and the Bible at AnswersRadio.com or by visiting the Creation Museum. Go to AnswersRadio.com.
It's early morning. A parent is getting their child ready for school. Across town, someone's preparing for an important medical appointment. In moments like these, one thing matters most. Who can you trust to get your loved ones there safely? That's where Emmaus Travels comes in. Founded in Greenville, Emmaus Travels was built on one mission: to provide safe, dependable rides for students and adults needing medical transportation in Eastern North Carolina. Our drivers aren't just drivers. They're trained, vetted, and compassionate people who understand that every ride matters. Because to us, it's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about peace of mind. It's about knowing your child is in good hands, your loved one is cared for, and every journey is handled with respect. So when you're making that important decision, choose the one that truly cares. Learn more at emmaustravels.org or call 252-412-3169. That's 252-412-3169. Emmaus Travels. We go the extra mile.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cummins-Williams. I want to ask Apostle a question now before we proceed. Apostle, since this is our final 20 minutes, I have an 8-minute audio clip on 10 things that we don't see no longer from the 70s. Or I got an audio clip on how did the flower crowns influence hippie herds, things like that.
Let's do some of the 10 things that disappeared since we're going to be in there.
Yes, that way I can close out the audio.
Yes.
It slowly. One store closed. One phone booth was removed. One family.
Yeah, we're getting...
Some things from 1970s America did not disappear all at once. They faded slowly. One store closed. One phone booth was removed. One family stopped taking Sunday drives. One neighborhood became quieter than it used to be. And by the time people noticed, an entire way of life was already gone. Today, we're looking back at 10 things we lost from 1970s America. These were not just objects or places. They were routines, sounds, habits, and small moments that made everyday life feel slower, closer, and more human. Welcome to Old America Memories. As you watch, think about which one you miss the most. Number 1, local diners where everyone knew your name. Before fast food chains filled every corner, many towns had local diners that felt like part of the neighborhood. People came in for coffee, eggs, pie, burgers, or just a familiar face behind the counter. The waitress might already know your order. The cook might know your family. Someone at the next table might know what street you lived on. It was not fancy. That was part of the charm. The booths, the counter stools, the smell of coffee, and the sound of plates being set down made those places feel like home. Today, many of those small diners are gone, and with them went a little piece of local life. Number 2, Main Street department stores. Before malls became bigger and before shopping moved online, many people went downtown to shop. Main Street had department stores with window displays, shoe departments, clothing racks, perfume counters, elevators, and holiday decorations. For children, those stores felt huge. For adults, they were part of the rhythm of town life. People did not just buy things there. They ran into neighbors, dressed up for special shopping trips, and sometimes made a whole afternoon out of it. When those stores closed, Main Street changed. The buildings may still be there, but the feeling is not the same. Number 3, kids playing outside until dark. In many neighborhoods, the sound of childhood once came from the street. Bicycles rolled over sidewalks. Baseballs hit gloves. Kids ran from yard to yard, made up games, and came home dusty and tired. There were no phones in their pockets. Parents did not always know exactly where everyone was, but there was usually one rule. When the streetlights came on, it was time to come home. It sounds simple now, but for many people, that freedom became one of the strongest memories of growing up. Today, streets are quieter, and that old sound of kids playing outside all evening feels harder to find. Number 4, full-service gas stations. There was a time when stopping for gas meant someone came out to help. An attendant pumped the gas, checked the oil, cleaned the windshield, and sometimes asked how your day was going. You did not always have to get out of the car. There was a small human moment in something as ordinary as filling the tank. The station might have had a bell that rang when a car pulled in, a small office with maps on the wall, and a mechanic working in the garage. It was not just a pump. It was a service. Today, most people swipe a card, pump their own gas, and leave without speaking to anyone. Something convenient arrived, but something personal disappeared. Number 5, payphones on every corner. Before everyone carried a phone, payphones were part of public life. They stood outside gas stations, near diners, in schools, airports, movie theaters, and on street corners. If you were late, lost, or needed a ride, you looked for a payphone. People kept coins in their pockets for moments like that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut that short right there so that I give it to Apostle a chance to comment.
Yeah, some of the things we had already mentioned, like the payphone, but when he talked about local diners, you know, there are places now that still have diners, but that old feel, and then there's certain restaurant chains that were old diners that are no longer around anymore. But he talked about kids playing outside until dark. I mean, there are places now where kids still go outside and play. You know, they don't need to make it sound like it's over. And, you know, even back then, there were dangers. You know, they make it sound like it was safer to play. Things happened to kids back there in the 70s. They disappeared, and there was still predators and the same things that we have now, but it just wasn't televised, and you didn't know as much about it, you know, or they were just left with question marks of what happened or whatever. You know, so the same dangers were there then as it is now. But, I mean, I guess we want to feel like it was a safer place in the 70s. It was less frequency, I would say, that you saw things happening to kids.
Well, I know for a fact we will be outside playing, my friends and I. But when them street lights came on, you had best be to be in that house.
Well, we had to stay in front of the house, not best be in the house. You could even, we had a little, you know, sidewalk then had a scored sidewalk. And it had a certain point from this point to that point that you couldn't leave from in front of the house. You could not go tracing down the street. You had to stay in front of the house and ride your bike up and down the driveway and right there in the little area in front of the house. Also, you know, one of the things I remember too, as being a kid in the city in the 70s, is that at a certain time they would bring out a big television and we would watch Electric Company. They would teach us by allowing us to watch certain things on the television was on a cart that was on wheels, and it was very tall, and they drag it out into the classroom and let us watch Electric Company.
Yeah,
Do you remember the Electric Company?
Electric Company with Bill Cosby.
No.
No. It was
Freeman.
No, wait a minute.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, that's right.
Morgan Freeman was on the Electric Company.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman.
Yes, and do you remember the commercial that said, "Where's the beef"? Remember that old lady on the commercial?
Yeah.
It was the Wendy's commercial. And she would always be saying, "Where's the beef?" And that lady became very, very famous with that one line, "Where's the beef?" And it was entertaining, you know, to see those type things back there in the 70s. And they talked about local Main Street department stores. There are a lot of department stores that have gone out of business, like Woolworth, you know, and someone mentioned today or yesterday, Montgomery Wards.
Yeah.
They're still around, but they're not as prevalent as it was. They have a catalog that they do more business out of the catalog. And remember the Sears and Roebuck. They used to be able to buy a car from the Sears catalog.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of things that you could buy from the catalog. So some of these companies, they're no longer there. So that is giving them, you know, feeling like the old feel is gone because those things are no longer here.
I miss Home Depot. And,
Home Depot is still around, isn't it? It's just not here
not
in this
here.
city. But there's one. I looked up for Home Depot, and it's in another city, but it's just not in this city.
The closest one to us is in Atlanta, Georgia.
No, there's some in North Carolina. There's one in North Carolina because when I was looking for a washer a few years ago, I looked up for where Home Depot was, and there are some in North Carolina.
Where is it?
Yeah, we're just not seeing them here. But it was a way away. It was a ways away that I would have to drive to go and look to pick up the washer. So, you know.
And I got something to tell you. Baby, before we come to the break or after the break. I finally figured out what the word mannish was. My grandmother and grandfather would say that to us all the time. So you think you want to be mannish?
Mannish, fast and
Fast,
mannish.
fast.
Fast and mannish.
So you think you're a man.
So you
still
just
a
not
boy.
figuring that out?
I just thought about the word. Stop acting mannish.
Stop acting mannish. Yeah, that's what they would say.
I just thought about that.
Oh yeah, that is a word that they used to use back then. Hey, we have one more segment. We want you to come back after the break. We have a few more things. We know you're enjoying this show right here, the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams, right here on Awesome Radio Network. Hey, come on back for our last segment, and we'll be able to say goodbye to you. And we have a few more things to hammer out here, and we're gonna try to get it to you. Hey, don't you leave. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
This summer, imagine walking into a quiet office space designed for focus, creativity, and growth. The atmosphere is peaceful, professional, and private. And for just a moment, you can breathe, think, create, and build your business without distraction. From June 1st through August 31st, LJPK Business Center is offering 20% off office space and conference room rentals during their summer savings promotion. Located at 210 South Washington Street in downtown Greenville, LJPK Business Center offers quiet private offices, conference space, private parking, secure print service, free Wi-Fi, plus complimentary snacks, coffees, and teas. Whether you're meeting with clients, launching a dream, hosting a workshop, or simply needing a professional place to work, LJPK Business Center is ready for you this summer. Need more details? Call 252-420-1355. That's 252-420-1355.
Faith. Some days it can feel so daunting, can't it? I'm Lena Abijamra, and this is Today's Single Christian. Faith is at the heart of who we are as Christians. We are people of faith. We believe in a Savior we have never seen. We have received salvation by faith. Yet when it comes to everything in our life, from dating to marriage to child rearing, we try every technique but faith. We strive and we wrestle, we work and try to impress, we perform and we wonder how much more we need to do. But perhaps the problem is that faith isn't about doing at all. In Hebrews 11, we're told that faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. In other words, faith sees God working where His hand seems invisible. Are you worn out trying to make your life work? Are you exhausted trying to get your stuff unstuck? Are you working hard to convince God to give you the desires of your heart? Perhaps it's time to stop. Perhaps it's time to start living by faith. For more, visit todaysinglechristtian.com.
Awesome radio. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Can you hear it? Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Here on Awesome Radio. 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU, Winterville, Greenville, North Carolina, AwesomeRadioNetwork.org. We have reached our final 10 minutes of today's broadcast, but I want to mention something to Apostle that I just realized when we were going out to break. She pronounced my name with all the syllables. Glenn. Now, I can't say it because I know how to pronounce my name. I said say Glenn, but she said it a different way. Apostle, say my name real quick.
I don't know if I can repeat it again. I was probably stretching it out because of time constraints.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just realized you did that. I was like, she's using all the syllables. Now, did you pronunciate it or enunciate it? Pronunciate.
I don't know. I have to go back and listen, and I'll definitely, my husband will be there
When
to
I get
play
home.
it back for me.
When I get home, that's the first thing I'm going to.
Okay, go
But
back
anyway,
and listen to it.
Possibly have 8.5 minutes.
Okay, listen, they said one of the things that is around that's not around anymore is shag carpeting. We don't see those shag carpets like we used to, that was thick, fluffy, plush carpeting in bold, earthy colors like avocado green and burnt orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff was so ugly.
I haven't seen the avocado green or the burnt orange in a long time.
Oh yeah, but we had a couch that had those colors
I was
in
about
it.
to
I
say that.
remember that.
I was about to say that some people had a couch that was burnt orange.
Oh yeah, we had it with that orange and that avocado green mixed in there and brown and yellow. I mean, it looked like that couch was so ugly. I don't know what was going on there, but it was so ugly. Also, water beds. Water beds were popular back then. It was like, when I was a kid, it was like water beds were for rich people.
Yeah.
We thought those were for rich people. Then I remember getting grown and getting water beds. I had them for my kids and everything. It's nothing but a bunch of trouble because it's going to get poked and then it's going to be leaking and it's something you're going to want to get rid of. And then they were so heavy. And then cold. If you had to have something to cover them up or a heater in that bed, which then, made you too hot. So there were a lot of things there. It said the Reggie and the Marathon candy bar. Also the disco era that was in. People were doing disco and fondue sets. You don't see fondue sets anymore, but hey, there are some fondue themed restaurants that are out there where you could go and you could have fondue, and they're expensive.
Yeah, the fondue is very expensive.
Very expensive.
Especially with truffle.
Oh, yes, that is this. And it said Tab soda. I think I've seen Tab. I think Tab is still around, isn't it?
Yeah, Tab is still around, yeah.
Well, it said Tab soda on this thing.
And RC Cola.
RC. Oh, I love me some RC. They still sell that? One time I was doing just drinking nothing except RC. I like RC Cola. And sometimes I remember seeing my aunts take peanuts and put it in the soda.
My aunt would do that.
Yeah, I wonder why. I don't know.
I tell this day I don't know why, but she did it in a way where she'll take all the peanut stuff from her mouth, to wash down with soda, then want to give you the soda bottle ice if you want some soda. Not with all them peanuts floating around in it.
Well, they would I remember one of my aunts would pour the package of peanuts in the soda.
Yeah, a lot of
and I
people
don't know
do
why they wanted that peanut taste in there.
Because they want to mix the salt.
Well, it says silly putty for comics. Like the kids would take the silly putty and put it on top of the comic. Remember the funny paper?
Yeah.
We don't see that anymore. The funny part of the paper.
But I used to do it with silly putty. I used to take it, rub it across the newspaper, and it would put the image on the silly putty.
That's what they were talking about, silly putty for comics. We don't see that anymore.
Also, we hate to mention these brand names without authorization, so just want to give you that little disclaimer.
Well, is silly putty even around? Who's gonna complain? Because it looks like maybe that's out of business. But I know it gave way to now the slimes and the things that we see the kids that are using now.
Yeah,
But it doesn't transfer like silly putty. Silly putty, you could transfer it, the ink, but maybe it was just the ink on the paper.
Yeah, maybe. But here's another thing I just thought about. What about the yo-yo?
The yo-yo, well, yo-yos are still around. I see kids at school with yo-yos.
Oh, really?
They have to take them away from them. Yeah, yo-yos are still, you can get those you can go to the dollar place right now and get a yo-yo. Any of the dollar stores and get any of those brands and get yo-yos. I see kids playing with yo-yos. Now, it's not a lot of kids that know how to do all the tricks and to walk the dog and all that stuff with the yo-yo, but there are kids that play with them, especially the boys. They'll take them and share them. It said the Atari video game console. Remember, that was the first video game, the Atari, and it had that little bleep, bleep, little game where it was going across the screen and that type of thing. I remember Atari.
And then they had the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Yes, and all that stuff came up from the Atari video game. It said brutal playground equipment, old school, unpadded playground equipment, like giant metal slides and dangerous swings replaced by safer modern designs. Remember how hot that slide would be, that metal slide? See, they don't put those metal slides out anymore. You used to go down that metal slide and burn your back end, the back of your legs and everything on that hot metal slide.
That's right.
They made things safer now. And then they had big swings, heavy metal chain swings. So they changed a lot to try to make things safer for kids.
And some of the young guys used to try to make themselves called a wraparound. They would swing until it wrapped all the way around the frame of the swing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I had some cousins that were kind of naughty, and they would take it and throw it around there and keep throwing it so nobody could swing on it.
Yeah.
So it was too high for the little kids to reach
It was
it.
too hard to reach.
And then we used to get in those swings and then turn ourselves, in one area and just spin. Turn the swing until the chain wrapped around itself, and then it would take us up high as it wrapped itself.
Yeah, I
and then
remember that.
let it go and then spin. We
Just spin back down.
Yeah. I mean, I remember all those fun things as a kid. It's something. Popsicles, freeze pops, all that. Mr. Softy ice cream truck used to come through the neighborhood. I have pictures from the 70s when I was a little girl, and there used to be a vegetable truck that used to come through our city.
Well, 2.5 minutes ago, I want to say one other thing. So, of course, I was born in the 60s, but I remember watching and sitting on the living room floor, watching black and white TV of the funeral of the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that because that was just born. That was the year before I was born. So, but I was born the year after. So I didn't see any of the Martin Luther King era. He's died in 68, right?
Yeah, and I think it was 68. I was
Yeah,
eight.
68. So it's the
The
year
reason why
before
I
I was
remember,
born.
I was 8 years old.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I know you have a few years on me. A few years. So you were around at that time. But I wasn't there during that time. But I do know that was a sad time for black people.
Yeah, it was.
And it affected a lot of black people.
Yeah, and then when they assassinated.
Do you remember the candy cigarettes?
Yeah, with the powder in it.
Yeah, the powder. It had the powder. So you could blow the powder and look like it was smoke coming out of them. Those things were funny. And then even the other ones that were like the chalk-looking ones that had painted red tips on them. So it looked like the cigarette was burning. It was powdered sugar.
Let me say this last thing. We had some great men in our era. They were all taken away. We had the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We had Malcolm X. We had John F. Kennedy. We had Robert F. Kennedy, all taken away from us. What would this country would be if those men were still around?
Oh, yeah. One of the other things that is gone, two other things that I want to mention real quick is cigarette vending machines. You used to have those out where just like a soda machine, you could buy cigarettes off the vending machine.
Yeah.
I remember seeing those and pay toilets where you had to pay to go into the bathroom.
At the time, I think it was 10 cents, then went up to 25 cents.
Yes, where you in the public toilet. So, hey, we know we went a blast from the past and we brought out a few things that you may have forgotten. But, hey, we hope you enjoyed it. We wanted you to call in. It's not too late. Even next week you can call in and get with us. But we hope to see you right back here on next week. We want to hear from you. We'll see you again on next week. Dr. Glenn?
To the Lord, take it like you do, all of you. Have a blessed day in the name of Jesus. Stay safe. If it gets too hot, remember to stay hydrated and have plenty of fun. And happy 4th of July to everyone that's listening. Until next week, you have been listening to the Glenn Johnson Show here on Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 107.5 FM, 57 AM, WECU. Take care, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.